and then it just keeps going. Wow, that was actually probably the best intro we've ever done in our lives. Also, the mic totally cut out for you. So I'm trusting that you did the notes right, and when I listen later...
I don't know. You'll be able to tell later.
That's fine.
I didn't do the... which is the later one.
Yeah. It kind of goes crazy.
It's a pretty nuts theme, yeah.
All right, we should just get into this. This is We Want to Watch. That's Ricky. My name is Lane. This is a podcast where we talk about movies that we want to watch. Normally we have an intro that's like 15 minutes long where we talk about some dumb shit, but we couldn't come up with anything. So instead we're talking...
Nothing happened this week, guys, you know? Nothing major in the world or in America or
for the first time ever, the news shut down, actually. The news stopped reporting. They actually logged off. They said, I don't know, go outside.
they stopped sending funding to the news sources, so they're all gone. The government contracts dried up, so we don't get anything now. What up? Sorry. I'm gonna do that a lot this ep, by the way.
That's fine. No, I anticipated.
Off topic, I'm just doing a buena, and if I finish it or not, you know, whatever. As long as we're back on track.
In case it wasn't obvious, this week we watched two movies, prompted by the death of Gene Hackman. We first watched a not Gene Hackman movie. We watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from 1966, directed by Sergio Leone. And then we kind of double featured it with Unforgiven from 1992, directed by Clint Eastwood. So this was kind of a Rick's pick, although I bullied you into picking Good, the Bad, and the Ugly instead of the middle one in the trilogy.
We worked on it together. We came to this conclusion together.
Did you?
Right? So...
Did you end up... Because you weren't sure last week which one you had seen... Oh, you had seen like two of the three. Had you seen this? When you watched it, did you...
I have seen the end.
Well, who the fuck hasn't seen the end of this movie?
I mean, it would have been me if my friend Justin had not shown me at like 3 a.m. Years ago, right? So...
When you say the end, you mean like the final 5 minutes, which is very John Dielman-like, in that it's just like... just staring and like just like completely like just normal stuff from, you know, of course shot in close up and way crazier, but just like the slow, it happens for like 10 minutes of them just looking at each other.
I was gonna say like more than 5, like the last like 10 or 15. Yeah.
It's pretty great. But so you hadn't seen the whole thing?
No.
Nice. Yeah. I think I handicapped myself just a little bit with this one because I watched... So I looked it up and I was like, all right, cool. It's on streaming. It's a sweet like $2.40 or something is what it's listed as on Letterboxd. The Prime, I watched it on Prime, and that version is over 3 hours, like a full extra 20 couple minutes. And I was like, oh, I started to feel it. And I was like, this seems really long for $2.40. It's kind of dragging. And I looked and I was like, fuck, it's 3 hours? And I think I got a little bบless out of it than I could have if I had watched the slightly shorter version. You know, I don't know if it's a director's cut versus a theatrical or what, but I was like, oh, this is a longer marathon than I wanted at, 8 at night. So
I feel that it does drag a little bit, especially sort of like near the middle, I guess, when they're doing like the Civil War,
the army stuff. Yeah. I'm like, all right, we're gonna blow up a bridge for 40 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah, sure, why not? We're gonna watch this guy bleed out on a cot. It's like, all right, cool, fine. I guess. So, like,
it really is like that, like in real time. That's why I compared it to John Dielman, because it's like a lot of it feels very like gritty, real. Obviously.
You're watching a guy laying on a bed, stabbed by scissors, in the gut.
Yeah. But it's still a great movie. I mean, it's the scenes that, like every other scene basically, except for that kind of long bridge set piece, I think. And even the bridge set piece, I imagine, is probably edited shorter in a different version and probably plays a little better. But yeah, it's still like so I started to watch this earlier in the day on like a Monday, and I was like, I sat down and I had my work laptop because work is eating me alive right now, and I was like, okay, I'll kind of like work for a little bit for the beginning, and then I'll put my laptop away and watch, lock in after I finish some work, and the opening, like the title cards, and they come out with the and I was like, oh right, this I can't. I have to, like, this is gonna be the best movie of all time. I can't like half watch this. So I ended up watching it later, a few days later, like later in the evening. Also to my detriment, we've established I'm an early riser, early to bed type. So
healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Welshy even too. I'm actually from
Welshy,
Wales. Yeah. A little Pembroke Welsh Corgi, right? Those are the little squat dogs, right?
Oh yes, yeah.
That was the dog I always picked in Nintendogs. Was the Corgi.
I always went with the what was it? What are the Alaskan dogs? Not Malamutes, but the ones that are like similar. Huskies.
Huskies? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a husky in Nintendogs?
Yeah, it might have been one of the ones that you could only get later though. Like one of the ones you would have to like visit the Nintendogs kennel for.
I see.
I don't recall. I think I'd start with a golden retriever if that was like one of like the beginning dogs. I don't recall.
It was. Yeah.
I had one that like he would go crazy on the frisbee toss. Had an insane frisbee flick. I would get like the craziest numbers on that.
It is insane.
Those are good games.
Listen, so I know I've been like, oh, people are fucking stupid when they say Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing. Like, I'm using the Nintendo idiot voice to talk about myself here. But the fact that Nintendo hasn't cashed in on Nintendogs in the Switch era is fucking crazy. It is so they are truly leaving like $1 billion on the table, or like phones. Yeah, like they have these mobile games. They have like mobile.
Yeah, they got a bunch of Pokemon mobile
Our
games.
Our intro started just 20 minutes into the episode after we started talking about the movie.
We had to get the Buena Buenas out, I think, right?
We did. Yeah. But they if they have the Mario Kart, they've got Pokemon Go, obviously. They've got the Animal Crossing game. I'm sure there are others I'm forgetting. But, like, hello. Like, built-in microphone, you don't have to fuck with hardware and, like, whatever, accommodating all of that. I know that it's because they want to innovate. They don't want to just, like, make whatever bullshit. But, like, guys,
still,
give the people what they want.
They have Pokemon Sleep, which I'm pretty sure also counts your steps. For some reason. Yeah. And it's like, at that point, right, why am I not taking a dog for a walk virtually, right, on my phone?
It's true. Yeah. Because Pokemon's a bigger IP, I guess. There's no... Yeah.
But, like, they have some weird stuff with Game Freak going on, too. And there's, like,
that too.
4 or 5 different Pokemon games which, like, cover all aspects of life. And it's like, all right, dude, like, come on. You got IPs to work with here that aren't Pokemon, like...
All my Maslow's hierarchy of needs are covered by Pokemon.
True.
Sleep, Poke Eat, Poke Self-Enrichment, or whatever the last one is.
I'm secure in my Poke Self.
Fuck, I was gonna say something. Oh, there's no, there isn't like a good virtual pet game. I have looked for like a game where I say virtual like it's like it would like it'd be a live pet, but like there's no game that like there's no like top tier. This is the game that you go to if you want to take care of a pet on Steam. Like I've looked,
Yeah, I think the closest you can get to that is like buying the little Digimon counter things that you can like plug into each other and like you can like interact with other people's.
But I'm talking about like Digimon. A Steam. Shout out Digimon. I'm talking about like a Steam game or like or like any kind or like even a mobile app. Nothing has like risen to the top.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I was gonna say I don't know how much of a market there is, but I guess there is a market for it. I don't know how many people are market. Like. Yeah, I don't know how many people are like exploring that market, I guess. Like are making things for that market.
I think that's so crazy though, because there were tons of Nintendo clones, obviously Tamagotchis, Pokemon. What do I want? I want a fucking virtual pet game. I've just told you what I want. I want one that's good, that's bad, and that's ugly. Jesus, how did we deviate so far so fast? We're like 4 layers deep. This is nuts.
Dude, although you can say that of Pokemon, there are the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Like,
it's true. It's true.
Although I love the little Garbo Pokemon, who is the one I'm thinking about with the uglies, specifically.
I did ask you, are you good, bad, or ugly? That should have been our intro for the podcast. Is like, which one? Oh,
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I kind of feel, not because I think you're an ugly person, but the kind of sensibilities.
Lane's gonna say I'm the ugly. Fuck.
I kind of think you might be Tuco in this movie. If I was to cast you as one of the 3, I think you're Tuco.
I was gonna say the bad. Honestly, that's crazy.
You look more like the bad ugly guy. You look more like Lee Van Cleef, but I feel like your squirrely shenanigans are more ugly like than that.
That's true. Yeah.
But like,
I don't get up to
phenotypically,
I don't get up to anything. Like the ugly.
No, you're not a bandit.
Wow.
No, but I mean, just the heckling, like, I think if we were out in the desert, you would shoot my canteen of water if you were given the choice as a bit, not out of maliciousness, but just
if you were in my shoes, you'd do the same. All right. If I was laying there right now, I would tell me what the name on the gravestone is. Okay, it would do no good to you dead.
I don't think I'm any of these 3 people, but I guess just like from a fashion standpoint, I'm probably closest to Clint Eastwood. Just like I do wear poncho-like things.
He does roll up to that last scene with that shit on. Like, he looks, for real.
He definitely has that shit on. It's kind of crazy. You know what he reminds me of? And obviously there's like, we've talked about the overlap of like, it's kind of a cycle. Like, Yojimbo happened, and then that was remade as Fistful of Dollars, which is the first one in this series. He looks like Yojimbo. He looks like the samurai, but just like the silhouette of like the broad shoulder, obviously he can't, we're not going to get into it about Mifune on this podcast today, but he can't compete there, but he does. I mean, he is wearing that shit. It does look great still. It's a great, it's just an iconic outfit.
Yeah, it's sick. And I mean, there's like a couple of outfits that they go through in the movie, and that last one's just like, that's what sticks, really.
Yeah. So the intro, I already mentioned that like when they start doing the music, I was like, I gotta lock in. So
yeah.
But then, people of course talk about the music, but the intro title cards are so crazy too. It's like a video game. Like, it looks like
it's really good. It's like surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's
like,
cool.
I just wasn't expecting that. Yeah. I also I love like the like title card-esque, like the good.
Oh, the good.
The bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, like once we're getting introduced, and then like we're walking away, I guess, from our characters, we get like the title card and the outro cards for each of them. And that's super cool. And like they get their own like musical motif. The
from the song.
The fucking what is it, gorilla
Tarzan
scream?
Yell. That too.
I was thinking of like off a Dare or something. Yeah.
No, but I'm a sucker for like weird title drops or like title cards.
Yeah.
I actually Jesse, my boss, shout out Jesse, was a couple months ago, was like, how do you feel about like long intro credits in movies? And I was like, oh, I love that. I love when that happens, like when a movie takes its time to like set the stage. And she was like, oh, I hated it. I just like, get on with it, get the movie on. But I think it's so fun, especially because you don't see it a lot anymore. You know, I always think of the Departed, where the credits, like the intro credit that says like The Departed title card, doesn't happen for like 40 fucking minutes into the movie. Yeah. Or Glengarry Glen Ross is another iconic one. You know, they've got the like kind of like business cardy looking like intro, but this is like an all-timer. I mean, with that music, it's
so good.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like the perfect intro to a movie. IMO. I'd say something that does that pretty well as a TV show. And I know I sort of ragged on it previously, but Invincible.
Cowboy Bebop? Oh.
No. Cowboy Bebop does that really well, though, too. The intro
I feel like that's the one people have, like, fond feelings for. But what movie did you say?
A lot of anime is really particularly branded like that, though. Like, they have, like, specific intros and outros. And, like, when you mess with the formula, people go, like, gaga over it. I mean, JoJo's does that, I think, most iconically in my mind, but...
Which is the one that does the Rush song? Or not Rush. What song am I thinking? Roundabout. Do you know
that's JoJo's. Yes.
Is that JoJo? Okay,
Be
cool.
the roundabout. And it does the to be continued.
Yes.
Yeah. That meme came from the 3rd episode of the show.
Cool.
Like, people saw it, and they immediately started viewing it. And then, I mean, Walk Like an Egyptian was also one of their outros. So good. But,
oh, wow.
No, but so Invincible, which is like really popular right now, they won't drop the title card until his name is said in the show, whether somebody says like whether they're referring to him or just saying like, oh, like to do that you'd have to be, and then it'll just cut and it'll just do title card Invincible, which is like funny. I don't know, I like it. Lane is giving me their I'm very not impressed, but you do you, bud, look.
I'm trying to think of like, I feel like that's something else. It reminds me of like the, is it CSI Miami? Where he would say like a pun, or like there'd be like a funny joke.
Yeah!
Thank you. With the Who. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for blowing out the mic a 3rd time already.
They do a riff on that on Phineas and Ferb, just saying it. It's one of my favorite Doofenshmirtz intros. But anyway.
You've got the Plemons counter, I've got the fucking Phineas and Ferb counter, okay? Like,
I love the show, okay? It's so good. And they reference so much. It's that's like one of my cultural touchstones, okay?
I know. Coming back to the intro, I think obviously like the little introductory kind of like vignettes for each character are so, I mean, that's all you need, and then you're just like you're off to the races, right? Like especially the bad, which he fucking walks on and you're like, oh, this is the most evil a man has ever looked in the history of the world, before or since. Like, you're like, you don't even need the title card to know. Like, this movie couldn't even be called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You could just see him and be like, oh, this character's name is The Bad.
Yeah, dude. He's playing the Monster of the Week character, The Bad. It's
Bad.
Yeah, good to see.
It's true.
When he's like standing in the doorway...
Yeah. Oh, it's fucking so
like,
scary.
All right, this guy's fucking evil as fuck, bro. He's killing everyone here. It's over, man.
And, the guy's face just, like, he just had... That's maybe the best thing about this movie, second to, the music is, like, all of these crazy close-ups on these... I mean, rough 35 on Clint Eastwood. That's the fucking craggiest face. I knew he's always been a craggy guy, but I had never seen this movie in full or anything. And so, like, to see... Like, he had the fucking craziest, like... eye socket divots I've ever seen, and I looked up. I was like, he has to be 55 years old in this movie, and no, he was 35. It's crazy. He's like sitting out there baking in bacon fat, like in the sun, to get that.
I was gonna say, when he's burned by the sun and he's got like the
that looks nasty,
the craggles and everything. That's bad. I mean, they get him like healed up after that, like pretty quick.
Of course.
They were like, we can't keep that on him too
good.
long. But like, yeah, that was like, oof, jeez, man, it's crazy.
But that it's just such a good testament to how important it is to have people who just look fucking crazy on screen, like as opposed to just beautiful people. There's a beauty to each of these guys, like just like as a nature way, that they're just like fun to look at. But really, like Lee Van Cleef, I had seen him in. Have you seen Escape from New York?
Nah.
That's a movie you would like. We could watch it for this podcast if we wanted to.
Is there an Escape from Manhattan as well?
Escape from L.A. There's an Escape from Manhattan is also New York. I don't know. You just named it. You're like, what? Escape from the Bronx.
Isn't there an Escape from Hell's Kitchen?
There's an Escape from Philadelphia. That's what I'm telling you.
An Escape from Alphabet City? Now I'm just naming New York blocks. Don't even.
No, but fuck. In that movie, he plays whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll watch that movie one day, or you can watch it. It's a Kurt Russell joint. You would like it. Speaking of Kurt Russell, John Carpenter movies, Ennio Morricone did the score for this, which I have not seen this movie before, but of course everybody's heard this fucking soundtrack that sounds like the West, like it sounds like cliffs and shit. He did this score, and he also did the score for The Thing, the like dum dum. So pretty cool, like that he went to do two incredibly iconic scores.
Now, what if, right?
What if Kurt Russell was in this?
No. Like, they walk out, they go into the kennel, and you see The Thing, and it's
What if this movie was The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and The Thing?
Ooh.
The Thing, the Bad, and the Ugly, or The Good, the Bad, and the Thing? No,
The Good, the Bad, and the Thing, I think, is the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the opening scene with the Bad, with Angel Eyes, did that remind you of any movies that we've seen? There's like a particular scene in a movie that I was like, oh, this cribbed from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like hardcore.
Oh.
Sicario.
Really?
The end of when he kills the family when at the dinner table. Yeah. At the end, I was, because that's just like how Angel Eyes.
Does he shoot him through the table?
I don't think so, but just like this like assassin showing up at the at the house like while dinner is being had, and then slaughtering the family other than the mom and the younger son or whatever. Like okay, I was like, ooh.
I was thinking Star Wars.
That too, the shooting. Yeah. I mean, we haven't watched that for this podcast, but yeah, I thought that too. I was like, oh, okay, I see you, Lucas. Like,
yeah. That was my first thought when watching it. I was like, oh my god, the bad shot first. Like,
we need to watch Sanjuro, the Yojimbo sequel. I wonder, because we've talked about and we'll talk about this with Unforgiven too. These samurai movies are cribbed by westerns. In this case, spaghetti westerns, and then, they kind of have this enduring legacy in cinema. And I think we've talked about how Lucas was super inspired by samurai and western movies, how he wanted Mifune to play Obi-Wan and whatever. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that's that was a reference, the Han shot first, whatever. Is that Greedo? I don't know. Those are.
It was Greedo. Yeah.
Not my trilogy.
Yeah, I feel like that scene was 100% just cribbed from it,
Yeah. So...
Although, so George Lucas keeps going back and recutting that scene. I don't know if you've watched it recently.
He doesn't keep doing it. He did it 20 years ago, and that's how it's been.
Well, he did it again recently. And by recently, I mean 5 years ago or something. Because I saw it recently, and it's different than it was before, Lane.
What is it now?
I don't know. There's just a lot of weird cuts in it. You can look it up. I'm sure there's a history behind it.
I was gonna say he's tweaked a lot of that stuff, but he's been pretty hands off with most Star Wars things for 10 years now. Basically he sold to Disney. He was I don't know that he's recut that recently, but
maybe it wasn't him,
Source.
but when they were doing digital remasters for the movies, I know that
they did digital remasters like 20 years ago. That's what I'm saying. They did that. They did all that chopped and screwed shit like back when the prequels were coming out, basically.
Well,
like
it's
in the
chopped,
90s.
buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Or well, it's screwed as well. So I'm just saying what I do know about it, which is that it's been changed a few times, and
okay, thank you for this apocryphal lore that you don't know any details about.
I'm just
anyway,
saying, all right. Just making observations. I'm doing my own research.
I'm just asking questions, man.
I'm just asking questions. Yeah. It's all in good faith here,
right? Clint Eastwood is not blonde. Them calling him Blondie.
He's Blondie.
Is insane.
What are you talking about?
It's fucking
He's Blondie.
Source. I want to see it because that shit is not blonde. His hair is. He is rocking the higher the hair, the closer to God kind of thing. Like, his hair, when he takes the hat off, it's like 8 inches on top of his head. It's crazy. But it is not, under any circumstances, blonde hair. He does not look blonde.
Nah.
So.
I don't know. I don't know. But, like, based off of going back to the title card thing, I think
we're 30 minutes into the episode and still stuck on the titles.
Yeah.
It's the best part of the movie. I mean, I got you. It's like
so good. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Just like the way, like the peek at each character that we get, and like it's like, oh, okay, so like this is like who they are, right?
Yeah.
It's like really succinct, and they're just like, hey, like just so you're aware, this is the good guy. This is why he's the good guy.
Totally.
Which is I don't know, super fun.
Yeah. And maybe the best character introductions we've seen in any movie for this podcast.
Yeah. I will say this was one of the movies that I read some of the Letterboxd reviews for. And it is crazy to me the takes that people have on this movie. They're the most stupid. Yeah. The most insane, deranged takes I've ever seen. Someone gave this movie a 2 out of 5, and they were like, "Actually, the dubbing is horrible." I just
because they were all Italian.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, like, what are you really gonna do about that? I actually thought that the voice acting was like really good.
Yeah, it was. It was not like distracting in the same way that some of the other movies we've seen that are dubbed have been.
Right.
So.
Right. And like, as far as dubbing goes, I feel like a lot of it is like you want to carry over the intent much more so than like making sure that their lips perfectly match what's being said or what's being heard. Right. And
they made these movies
100% there. It's great.
They made these movies like bootleg, fucking like, you know, out of a donkey's ass in Spain, you know, on like a shoestring budget, you know, like I can't believe, like, what are you looking for? Like, I'm sorry.
That was, that was just one of the most ridiculous things I'd read. Also, it was just like, I don't know, people were like, oh, I couldn't feel like connected to the characters. I was like, you don't feel connected to this, man? Come on!
I mean, I didn't feel connected to these characters, but I liked watching them. They were very, this is not a movie where I'm like, oh, the deep characterization of Tuco, you know, is like, that's not it. But it is, I am like, I want to see these guys shoot each other. Like, that is kind of the way.
at the same time, like, there's still, like, I don't know, there's like, pathos, to say that there is no characterization there, it's like...
No, it's stupid. Yeah.
Right. And then...
It's just that they're playing archetypes. It's the name of the movie. Right. Like, hello.
Yeah. But to not be able to, like, sympathize with that at all, be like, oh, okay, like, this guy is the guy with the golden heart. Like, he's not just gonna let the guy die, right? It's like, okay, like,
he's gonna fuck with him mercilessly and make him think he's gonna die several times, but he's not gonna actually do it. Which apparently makes him good. We should talk. Yeah. Well, first off, my recommendation is regularly I look at. First off, when I first joined Letterboxd 5-6 years ago, I like blocked everyone that posts stupid fucking one-line reviews. I just went through and like, this is your PSA. If you are someone out there listening and you're on social media and you're not using the block button, You're an idiot at this point. You need to do that. That is going to improve your experience on the internet better, or anything else. But
yeah, take the algorithm into your own hands.
Truly. I don't need to see these fucking, like, influencer, like, you know, takes that are like, Clint Eastwood's daddy. Okay, cool, bye. Like, I don't care. Like, you're providing nothing to this website. But, I also regularly go through after I watch a movie that I really like or really don't like, and if I see a bad take, I block them too. I probably block thousands of people on Letterboxd.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, not every dissenting take, but stupid takes, you know, dumb shit like that. Yeah.
I will say, I think that the meme reviews are, like, worse than having a really bad take, right? Because if you have a really bad take, at least, like, you've bought in, like, at least a bit, right? Like you're putting yourself
out
there.
Somewhat seriously.
Right. Like, you have ideas, you have thoughts and feelings about it. They're all shitty and horrible and wrong, but, like, you have them, and you're displaying them. Versus just being like, oh, Clint Eastwood is daddy. Oh my god! Like, I wish he was my good. Yeah, I wish he was gooding his bad on my ugly. I don't know.
I'm seeing here the #1 most popular review is by Ricky. I made the last minute decision to say your full name, which I'll have to bleep later.
I'm seeing Blicky up here. Is this?
I hate this.
That would be my stripper name, by the way. Anyway.
That's not going to make sense after I bleep it, but, you know.
I know.
Yeah, like, I've blocked... I'm opening Letterboxd in an incognito window so I can see what the top reviews are, and none of them are the same as what show up for my...
That's so crazy, dude.
The first review for this movie is cinematic sex. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Walk away.
Yeah.
Why do you have a still from... Is that... I don't have my glasses on. I can't tell if it's The Boy and the Heron or Ponyo. I don't know. And then the second one is gotta be the best ending of all time. Like, why do you have 5,000 likes for that?
Yeah.
Walk off a bridge. Anyway.
I saw somebody write about this movie, best ending of all time, if you're a white guy. And I was like...
Sure.
Whoa!
Why they gotta bring race into it?
Yeah.
And gender. This movie about race and gender.
Yeah, but...
We should talk about westerns. I know we watched Power of the Dog, but do you have a lot of history with westerns? We haven't watched any others, right? I'm not crazy.
No, I don't think so.
I don't either. I'm looking though.
I've never been to the West either, right? Like, the closest I've been to like the Midwest, or like what people refer to as like the West, is Oregon. You know.
I think Oregon counts as the West.
Yeah, there's certain parts of it that like look a lot like this movie, right?
People clown on Europeans for not being able to identify the states or whatever, but like they're right. There's too many.
Oh yeah. Bro, you post Red Rocks and then like they're like, "Oh, actually these are Red Rocks in Arizona, not in Oregon." It's like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Like it all looks the same. Like it's a very similar geographical area.
Well, like, Idaho counts as the West. Idaho is, like, fully West, right? So I feel like Oregon, it counts. But you wouldn't say Washington is the West or California. California counts. I feel like the West is Oregon, you know?
Yeah, people generally, I don't know. People, like, always call those Pacific Northwest. I feel like the coast is generally excluded when people talk about the West. But,
like, 100 years ago or 150 years ago is different.
I feel like then, even then, well, I don't know. When did we acquire like California and Washington and Oregon?
That's a great question. It's for a better man than me.
150 years? I don't know, something like that.
Like 150, yeah, right? Like right before the Civil War.
Yeah, there was the Gold Rush, right? Like.
Yeah, we're smart.
We're smart. We know things. Wait.
We are.
Oh, wait a second. 1876, the Gold Rush.
Oh my god.
I remember the gold in them there hills. Yeah, sorry. What's up?
The gold is up in them there hills. It's interesting that westerns kind of get this reputation of being like, you know, the John Wayne western, right? You're like cowboys, you know, offensive portrayals of Native Americans and like, you know, boring kind of hero stories. But I feel like most of the time when people are actually thinking about Westerns and they think of the names, like I think The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and like these movies with Clint Eastwood are more famous than I would wager for most people more famous than like the old John Wayne, John Ford like movies.
Oh yeah. By far, really, right? Like the
I
fact that like I've seen clips of this movie and I haven't seen anything of like John Wayne, right?
Yeah, I feel like John Wayne gets parodied more probably because he is such a like prolific and larger than life kind of like easily mocked character in a way. But like these movies are commentary on those movies, you know, like these like kind of like 60s and 70s Westerns are commentary on the 40s and 50s Westerns that are very, you know, black and white. And then these are obviously they're much more like complicated and everybody's a little morally gray and whatever and no one is actually good. So I don't know. Yes.
Just real quick, just a little aside. You said black and white. I've been playing like video games with Saeed more lately, and Saeed did his thing where
shout out Sai,
where he says a version of the N-word, and he said it in like a group of guys who like no one here knows that Sai is black. And so he says it, and there was just this like really palpable, awkward tension in the air. And I was like, guys, Sai's black, he's black, and like immediately everyone starts dying laughing, and Sai was like, oh shit, yeah, I should have said that, my bad, homie. And I was like, yeah, dude, like please, man, like, I don't know.
Sai's enduring legacy is picking on white people about like race stuff. Like he'll be like the number of times he almost got one of us in group with like, you know, like what did you just call me? Like before it became a meme.
Oh my god, yeah. Especially because he would pull it out at the most unexpected times. And then you're
totally.
You're like backtracking
really
like the words
deadpan
in your mind. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, what did I just say? Am I like oh my god,
what did I just call him?
Like, yeah. And even but he would like say it if you weren't like talking directly to him either, right?
Right.
Like you're just like talking.
He'd interject.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait a second, whoa, what did I say? And then it's just like the sheer like shock, panic, and horror of like, oh god, oh no. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because it was very, very funny to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
You said black and white, and I was like, oh my god. Like, speaking of which, yeah.
Fuck. We should watch a John Wayne movie one day. That is on my long list of
that'd be cool.
It's on the watch list. Yeah. The Searchers is the one that is like the big famous one, the most famous one. But yeah, I do think of like Westerns tend to be like, if I look at my Letterboxd logs, they're actually one of my highest rated genres. Like if I look at my stats. And so it's kind of fun. Like if I look at everything counted as a Western now, obviously we've talked about The Power of the Dog. A lot of these are the like newer movies or like kind of revisionist or whatever, but like I'm thinking from the 90s too, or like early 2000s, like Assassination of Jesse James, Tombstone, Ravenous is one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, The Quick and the Dead is also a revisionist Western. Like all of those are fantastic movies. Like I don't think the lowest rated Western I have on my logs is 3 stars, which is still like above average. So, anyway, so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny that it gets this shitty reputation. I know, like when Westerns would come on Turner Classic Movies, which played a lot in my house growing up, like I'd be like, oh, snooze, you know, black and white, whatever, kind of like old-timey.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to watch more and see, because it is kind of like a blind spot for me.
Tombstone is one of the movies that I've seen. I really like that one.
That movie fucking rocks.
Cool one. Yeah.
Dudes rock the movie. Like that is like so fucking funny and crazy of a movie. Like that movie is like so over the top. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But speaking of other 1990s, maybe sort of revisionist Westerns, we also watched the 1992 film
Whoa,
Unforgiven.
what the fuck? We are not moving on to Unforgiven.
Okay, all right.
Dog, we haven't even fucking... we can't pay dust to Good, the Bad, and the Ugly like this. We haven't even talked about the score enough.
Okay. I was gonna say, I didn't like Unforgiven as much. Like,
I think you should eat shit and die.
Wow.
All right, we'll talk about this later. We'll talk. All right. This is nuts. This might be the biggest disagreement we've had in a while.
Okay.
Basically, since Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which was like a week ago, but
yeah, about a week.
Something else about Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Not just the score, but they really get all the play they can out of the score. That thing that motif plays every 5 minutes, if not more frequently. Like, anytime anything happens, they whip that puppy out.
And they also got the whip sound to the like.
That's true. Yeah, or like the sounds of the gunshots. They got the old timey like
yeah.
But something too, just tying this back to like, westerns are boring. This movie's goofy. This movie's like straight up goofballs. Like, it reminds me of like old horror comics. Like, I don't know. Did you ever read any of those like Tales from the Crypt? Like kind of like 60s, 70s, more like 70s, 80s. Like, have you ever seen any of those, like that art style of like really violent or gory? Or Tales from the Dark Side is another one, I think. They're kind of like these like pulpy comics that would be kind of like morality tales. Honestly, shout out The Substance, which I think is super inspired by these types of comics, where it's like, or like Twilight Zone, but like violent, is kind of the way that they go.
Goosebumps.
In this movie,
is what you're right.
Yeah, but from 20 years earlier than Goosebumps.
Right. I mean, Goosebumps is the kids' version that riffs off of all of these, right?
Totally, 100%. And this movie is kind of like that. And like, I've seen one other Sergio Leone movie, Once Upon a Time in the West, which has this. I'm going to spoil Once Upon a Time in the West here. So if you don't want to hear about this, skip like, 45 seconds. But I'm going to spoil it for you, Ricky, because you'll never watch this movie and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair.
There's like a character in that called Harmonica, and he's always fucking playing this sad harmonica, and he's like the hero, the anti-hero, whatever. And it turns out, oh my god, and it turns out that he's kind of like, he's like seeking revenge on this like bad guy, right? This like whatever shitty gunslinger. And it turns out that as a kid, the reason he has the harmonica is that he was made by this gunslinger to stand and hold his brother on his shoulders while his brother was hung by a noose. And basically he couldn't, and he put a harmonica in his mouth. So when the kid finally falls from exhaustion and he starts crying, the harmonica plays. It's like so campy. Like, it's kind of crazy, and like, obviously it's brutal, but like also really silly and contrived. They were just like, what's the most fucked up thing we could think of?
Yeah.
And there are parts of this movie that are like that too, where it's like, we're gonna make this guy, like jump off a train handcuffed to somebody and like kill them and like, whatever, or some of that, or like I'm gonna shoot someone through a pillow, after they
it's
paid
like
me.
Looney Tunes-esque though. It's like real Looney Tunes shit, right? That's
what I'm saying.
Especially
it's goofy.
like the army stuff, like when they're like, it's just like them being like captured, escaping, like that sort of stuff. It's just, it's like, oh, okay, like these are just classic hijinks. Like, this is just like what guys used to get up to, right? Just guys being dudes,
It is. That is one of my favorite movie genres. Is like, there's no women, so there's no misogyny because there's just no women around.
Yeah. No one be shitty too, right? Like...
Yeah. It's just men just fucking shooting each other, or like The Departed. Like I said, although that movie has its problems. Yeah. But anyway,
we really only see like the one woman in the beginning of the film.
There's not much. Yeah. So, fine, cool, whatever. But yeah, so like some of the violence, I mean, it's really brutal. Like, I made the joke about shooting the guy through the pillow, but like, that's really crazy. You don't see that without a cut often, like something like that. Obviously, it's not gory. You don't see anything, but like, so
it's also he shoots him 4 times. Like,
he does
in the head, point blank. Like, it's crazy.
The bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought for sure you would do the voice or the
song. No, I just said the bad.
Yeah. It's so funny that you cut out every time. Every
That
single...
one wasn't even that loud, alright?
Yeah, the mic doesn't want to hear it. The mic's like, I've heard enough.
Mike's like, listen, you just don't even want to deal with this, alright? Well...
Yeah, you've heard, you'll hear it.
Discord's got you. Yeah.
We talked about how the Civil War stuff is kind of meh. Like, it's, let's get back to the hijinks of it all and not kind of waste our time with this.
I mean, the Civil War is, like, kind of hijinky, right? Like...
A little.
The bad being a officer, some commanding rank.
He's
right?
he's like impersonating an officer.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because he's bad.
Either way, he has power, right? He's in power. And just him being like, I don't know. I thought that was super cool. Like, especially like him talking to the actual commander. The guy's like, listen, this gangrene's eating my legs, it's not eating my eyes. And he's just like, yeah, alright, well, good luck with that, man. And he just fucking, like, leaves. It's like, alright, cool. Like, this guy just, like, fucking hates him. And he's just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. I can't believe you haven't talked more about Tuco. I feel like Tuco does so many, like, silly, scandalous things. Like,
Tuco is silly.
I feel like
when
he's like... Fuck the or he what does he say? He gives off this like he rattles off this like string of insults about is it about the Confederate Army and it turns out to be the Confederate
yeah. That's what I was thinking of when I was like,
it's so we hate the South.
Because he's like oh they're gray. Okay. Yeah. And he's like yeah, let's go General Lee. Lee.
It's true. It's great. God. It's really funny.
I'm trying to think of who the Northern General was. Whatever, but like and then like when he gets there and he's just brushing and brushing.
Yeah,
and
it's like
you know where it's going as soon as he starts like brushing at himself.
Yeah.
And then you see like the really rich blue underneath. The dude like they're all just like deadpan staring at them, and then it just like cuts to them like in the prisoner line. Like it's super funny. Yeah.
We should talk about him and the Man with No Name, like their like little new stunt that they do, the hangman stunt, like, which of course then is the last thing of the movie.
Are you Blondie or?
Yeah. Well, he's technically his character doesn't have a name. He's called.
They call him Blondie. Yeah.
That's not his name though. If you didn't, that's a nickname. It's a misnomer, in fact.
Actually, that horse that they went through the desert with has no name. Okay. It felt good for them to get out of the rain. In the desert...
That's a great fucking song.
You can remember your name. Because there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
On the first day. I want a mashup of that with... Again, Discord is like, you're not hearing this.
Dude, the levels, you're gonna see the levels, they're like almost talking volume at this
point.
Like, I'm just trying to go lower and lower with it.
I can see the green. Like, Discord is picking up the sound. They're just like, you don't want any of this, do we? Like, you're not... I heard that one. Crystal clear. It's a funny bit that they do. And it's funnier that he kind of makes him sweat by threatening to not shoot him down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When he's like,
I'm putting my neck on the line, I don't know if we can cut it 50-50. He's like, my aim might get affected if it's not 50-50.
True. Fair. Yeah. That's kind of the trump card to pull.
They're making bank. Like, bank, man. This is like their, 15th, 16th time running the same scheme? Like, 200 or 2,000 a pop?
It was 2,000. Yeah, back
That's
then
crazy.
That was like $70 million. Like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're fighting over like 200K, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I get that you run out of counties eventually, but like, making some good cash in the meantime.
Also, surely other towns would have heard of this and maybe like not done the horse bit and just like kicked a stool or something. Like, that didn't get around,
so
that someone was running this play?
I feel like they had to have, just because of, like, the way that they were like, reading the charges. Also very funny.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
The fucking charges are hilarious. Yeah.
So, like, the very first time he goes, I didn't hurt anybody! And then it immediately cuts to the charge reading, and it's just, like, a solid 2 minutes of just, like, charges. And then at the end, he's like, he reads out the last charge, and he's like, and for forced, I don't know, like, forced slavery, yada yada, may God preserve his soul, or something along those lines. Yeah. But, like, he says it, like, so monotone, and it's just, like obviously, so like, so rote. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, he's like, okay. And, like, they, like, smack the horse. And, like, they do the exact same thing at the next town, too. But, like, the next town, they read it almost, like, faster. Like, they're trying to get done, like, before he can shoot the rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's, like, 6 paragraphs of fucking charges. They're probably tired of reading it. Yeah. But no, it's nice and obviously, like, fun kind of commentary to have the good guy be kind of still a scoundrel in that way, and that he's, you know, he leaves him to die. I mean, he like, for no reason other than that he just doesn't trust him and doesn't really like him. He's kind of tired of the game. So it's cool, and I think we'll talk about this with Unforgiven too. You know, the commentary and kind of like like revisionism of, you know, the historical myth of the Western and cowboys and good guys and whatever. So
yeah. So I don't know. I've heard that Unforgiven is, like, more revisionist, but in terms of like how things, like, maybe really went down, right? I feel like it's much more honest in certain ways. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, sure, in that it's more realistic, I guess, of a movie in a lot of ways. It's, you know, revisionist, I think, is it more realistic? I think it's also about looking back on how our attitudes toward that time and those myths have changed. And, like, The Power of the Dog is a revisionist Western, too, in the same way. It's that whole thing is like, yeah, this big fucking tough cowboy, you know, like, what about him? And, like, that's not real, you know. And so Unforgiven is about how that's not real, and Good and the Bad and the Ugly is also less so. It's a little bit more, like, satirical almost than it is just, like, kind of deconstructing. But I mean, this movie was made in fucking Spain and Italy, like, by an Italian guy. Like, these aren't you know, they're it's not authentic, you know. They're like on the cliffs of Dover, like,
I mean, I'm not expecting it to be like
plains of
I'm not expecting it to be historically accurate. And the fact that it is, like, it's depicting, like, archetypes, right? Like the characters are, like, characters. They're very much so characters. Yeah. But, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the ending, the cemetery scene, actually, I want to talk about that first. When he first goes to, Tuco, when he goes to dig up the grave, when it's like an overhead shot of him running through the gravesite, or, like, the graveyard. Looks fucking incredible. That's one of those shots that's like, this was the 60s, how did they fucking do this? You know,
there's a bunch. When they've got, like, the moving shot where they're, like, going across and it's got, like, the crazy motion blur. It's like, I mean, like, nowadays you're like, all right, like, it's on a drone or whatever, or, like, they have some, like, rail that they can, like,
but what did they do back then?
Yeah, like, what are they doing? Yeah. You on a horse? Yeah. Like, what's going on here, man? Like, what's happening?
I mean, they had rails back then. They did have, like...
I know. I know they had, like, setups, technology, but also...
But it's still very impressive.
The, like, distance that it goes, and, like, I don't know. It was... Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, they get a lot of play out of the score, but they also get so much play out of the close-ups of just these guys baking in the sun. It's so crazy. Like, and that's the ending, and it's an incredible ending. You know, the shootout itself is, like, whatever, because it's, like, 2 seconds long. Yeah. It's kind of funny how Angel Eyes falls into the grave, like the open grave. It's very Looney Tunes. But yeah, the fact that it's like truly 5 straight minutes. Like, when people say, like, oh, it was 5 minutes of this, usually something's like 30 seconds long.
No,
when they're like, oh, I did this for 5 minutes.
Minimum 5
This
minutes.
is truly 5 minutes. Yeah. Of them just, like, closer and closer and closer until it's just their eyes is crazy. It's so funny. And they get so much character out of them. It's great.
Yeah. A lot of good eye acting, you know? Like, more so than the face acting, it's all eye acting. Yeah.
Before we get to Unforgiven, I have to ask, is Clint Eastwood hot?
Yeah.
I've struggled. This is an internal
Do you not think so?
struggle of mine. I go back and forth. I'm not sure. I don't know. So I'm on the record as being a Cillian Murphy defender. And I think that Eastwood has the Cillian Murphy disease of...
I think Cillian's hot, too.
If you saw that man in person with the lights on, you'd be like, I'm afraid this is Slenderman. But then...
He's
if
chiseled.
You saw him in like...
He's chiseled, you know?
It's not chiseled. He's not fucking chiseled. That man is waxen. I'm sorry. He's hollowed out. Like, they took a fucking ice cream scoop to his cheekbones.
He's not waxed. Lane, we saw him out in the sun for 2 hours. He's not waxed. He would have melted. What the heck are you talking about?
Clint Eastwood is so skull-like. Like, his face is like a skull with skin stretched over it. It's
we watched him light a cigar, and it didn't act as a wick to the wax on him.
Great cigar acting.
Yeah.
Great cigar acting in this movie.
A lot of good cigar acting. Yeah. Oh yeah. Although
I don't know.
Can I just say that's some of the only acting that Clint Eastwood is doing in this film.
Listen, we'll talk about this. It's Unforgiven too.
there's like 20 okays, and like that's it. Yep.
We'll talk.
Fine.
We'll talk about this in Unforgiven. I have thoughts on this,
okay.
but
okay.
I really want. We have to put this to bed. I don't know. I like Cillian Murphy. I think firmly in the smash column.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood straddles the line between pass or smash.
That's crazy, man.
I don't know. I'm not convinced. Sometimes, like, I think if I saw him in person, I would run for the hills. He's too severe looking.
I guess. I don't know. I mean,
he doesn't have any of the warmth that Cillian Murphy can have. You know, Cillian looks scary, but he can, like, at least look like, you know, a hot, scary guy, which is always nice. Clint looks like, he's gonna beat you. Sorry to Clint Eastwood. Like, I'm sure you're fine, even though you're really not. You're kind of a scumbag, but, like...
I don't know. I never really got that vibe from him. But, like... Yeah, I don't know.
He's cold. He's too cool. Like, steely, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have anything to offset how... Have I sent you the meme of Steely Dan music cut over Mario Kart gameplay footage?
I don't think so.
It's a good meme. It's like basically Mario Kart now. I don't remember if the person is saying that Mario Kart sounds like Steely Dan or Steely Dan sounds like Mario Kart, but basically all of the like it sounds just like Steely Dan.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of mouth acting in this episode.
Yeah,
a lot of voice,
yeah, you are.
Vocalizations.
Was that you were doing the Cantina song just there?
No. Well, that's which is also LMFAO's Party Rock Anthem
song
sounds like this
is
too.
it?
Yeah. Because, it's a every day I'm shuffling. It's the same song.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But, wow, we're like 8 levels deep suddenly again. No, you would smash?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Especially this, like, especially Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like, time? I don't know.
Oh, you're not into him in Unforgiven when he looks like he's gonna die? Like, immediately?
Yeah.
Like he's halfway dead, 40 years ago? Watchers, get us in the comments. If you think Smash or Pass about Clint Eastwood, let us know.
I'm surprised you weren't more into him.
What is that supposed to mean?
I feel like he looks good in this movie.
I mean, he looks good. He's got a good look going, but, like, I don't know if he's hot. I don't know.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Research.
You sounded so fucking offended there. You're like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like exactly what I said, bro. Lane says doing some more research, and they're just looking at stills of Clint Eastwood.
I am. I'm literally doing that. Yeah, I don't know. He looks too... I feel like there isn't enough... his features... There aren't enough features to his face.
What do you mean?
That's not what I mean. His skin is too much of a feature. Like, he's too... like, his nose and eyes and mouth are all so small, and so it just draws attention to his cheekbones and, like, craggy eye crevasses. Like, I was gonna say crevices, but that didn't do it justice.
No, they are crevasses for sure, yeah.
And so, I feel like there's too much plane happening. Like, you could really, like, there are, like, quadrants to his face. Like, there could be full real estate on any side. His forehead, his cheeks.
Luckily, you don't see much of his forehead, but
I feel like he needs. I just typed the goof, the bad, and the ugly. Oops.
They should make a Disney version of this film called that.
I bet they have, honestly.
I mean, Mickey would be the good, Daffy the bad, and then. Oh wait, no, well, because they need the goof. My bad.
I think.
That'd be. Goofy.
Well, Goofy's in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Goofy is the goof. The bad.
Why are we casting this?
I'm just wondering, man. I'm just wondering.
I think I lose... I think the best he looks is when he has the hat off with his hair. And yeah. One of my chief philosophies is that hair really can make or break a man. And if the hair is the only thing you have going for you, it's a pass. And so I'm also taken out by his hair being so perfectly coiffed when he takes that hat off. He should be so sweaty.
Every time. Like, yeah.
It's literally up here. Like, his hair is church lady hair.
Even when he's a prisoner of war and they, like, bring him afterwards. Like, seeing those scenes, I'm like, oh, this dude just got out of the shower, bro. Like...
Yeah, I think, too, he's almost too pretty. I know that's a crazy thing to say after all of the shit talking I just did, but, like, he and Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef, the three, all of them have very, like, interesting cinematic faces, and I feel like he has the most handsome TM, And so I feel like that is a turn off for me. Like, have you ever seen his son?
No.
His name's Scott Eastwood. He's an actor. He's, like, not...
Oh, maybe
I'm sure he's a perfectly lovely guy. But...
Maybe I did because he did the poster for Smile 2, right?
No, you're thinking of Jack Nicholson's kid.
Ah, fuck. I knew it was some actor's kid. Oh,
well. Google Scott Eastwood real quick. Okay. He's, like, even worse in that he looks even more like a generic handsome
man. No, this is generic handsome man. Yeah.
Yeah, but he looks like Clint Eastwood, so it's just, like, one deviation from Clint Eastwood.
I mean, he's literally like if you do, like, the face mash thing of generic handsome man and Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
It's this guy.
So I feel like I'm talking myself into a pass here.
Okay. Hey, that's fair. You're valid.
I'm going to say something... Never mind. I can't say what I was going to say. I was going to say something so crazy that I would get canceled, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say about Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah, it's better than Unforgiven.
You should fucking walk into jail. They should fucking...
walk off a stool. Anyway.
I should kill you and put your body in front of my saloon with a sign saying that this is what happens to clowns who podcast.
Wow. You should, so that one of my... I'm not even going to call them friends.
One of your friends will...
compatriots will
partners
come in
crime.
Yeah. Come in and deliver justice upon you and your posse.
What if I said Would I be
Is it wood?
Would I be drawn and quartered?
Definite no for
Ricky
me.
Just gave me the most
So immediate and easy no, it's crazy, bro.
The most shamed I've ever felt on this podcast.
Even this guy's judging you. Even this guy right here is judging you. He had to get up here to get a look at you.
Is that Archie?
Yeah.
He's cute. Sorry, Archie. I'll cut all of that out. I'm embarrassed that you had that reaction.
What reaction were you expecting? A yeah? A maybe?
I was expecting like I can see it, or I don't know.
Lane, this is
right,
this is one that I will say I cannot see, actually.
That's so crazy. That is so crazy.
I just not even a little bit of me was like, oh yeah, like while on screen.
I am cutting all of this out. All right. Anyway. Do not reference this, because if I have to keep bleeping shit through the rest of this episode, I'm going to kill you. I haven't even finished editing the Michael Clayton episode, so... Okay.
Wow.
I was going to come prepared to this episode with the Hereditary dinner table speech.
Oh,
because she says... She ends with that saying, and I can't forgive. And so I can't forget. And I was thinking and so I'm unforgiven. Or so I was going to workshop it, but I didn't.
So I'm unforgotten. That sort of thing.
Which would be fitting, because this movie is all about stories and myth and legend and whatever, lies. Mm-hmm. I was like, so I'm interested to hear why you don't like this movie, mostly because I hate you, but
not that I don't like this movie. I do like this movie. I just don't think it was as good as Good, Bad, the Ugly.
I think that's crazy. I think this movie... What was the thing you said the other day? Beats the brakes off of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I use that one, and I use Blow 'Em Out of the Water. I use that one a lot, too.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I think it does. It's so much more watchable, interesting. There's more depth to it, I think, which I like. So my initial
there's more depth.
The first 25 minutes. Sorry. You're fine. It's International Women's Month, or Women's History Month, or whatever. It's actually International Women's Day today, I think, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe think of that.
And
next
we
time.
watched two.
Yeah.
And we watched two movies with barely any fucking women in them.
Yeah. Maybe think of that next time. Yeah. Rick, before you suggest these shitty fucking misogynistic questions, yeah.
That I bullied you into picking.
Yeah.
Okay.
After I was like, let's do a Gene Hackman film. And you're like, oh, perfect. We're actually not going to do a Gene Hackman film. And I was like, all right, great.
No, we did. This is a Gene Hackman film.
I know. But originally, you were pitching Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You're like, oh, we'll have so much fun with it. And I was like, okay.
Well, I wanted to watch these two movies because they're in concert with each other. Because Clint Eastwood directed Unforgiven. Obviously, he's in both. Anyway, what I've been trying to say for 2 minutes is, for the first 25 minutes of this movie, so I know I've seen other movies that Clint Eastwood has directed, and he's not really a director I love. I'm looking at his filmography. I've seen, he did Gran Torino, American Sniper. He did the Juror Number 2 Nicholas Hoult movie from last year. He did the J. Edgar Hoover, Leo DiCaprio movie. So,
okay.
A lot of these movies are what am I trying to say? They're kind of slow and methodical, or very slowly paced.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of thematic depth to them, but they are kind of underbaked in their script, I think, is a good way of putting it. And this movie, I was like, God damn, they are doing so much just telling. The number of times that he's I'm not the man I used to be. I'm not that guy anymore. I've changed, And I was like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Stop telling me this. But then I was like, oh, maybe he's maybe this is the best possible deployment of this guy's talents, in that this whole movie is about myth making and how you have to lie to yourself, or how you kind of ingest falsehoods or myth. And so I was like, oh, it works because of that. I don't know that it was intended. you know, you mentioned Clint Eastwood's like underacting, and it's really bad in this movie. I think it's even worse than in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, how like he just like super underacts. But it works because of the themes of the movie in that way. So it's like his weaknesses are strengths in the context of this particular film.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say it's almost like he's like, I don't want to say he's typecasted to that, especially because like he's directing. So like I don't know, to say that like he's typecasted himself here. But like he is.
I think it's intentional, right?
Yeah.
Like to cast yourself if you've been this like icon of Western, like he's the most iconic Western actor after probably John Wayne. I almost said John Legend. What if John Legend was?
I'm trying to think of a good John Legend song for that.
All of Me, Unforgiven. You know what's John Legend song rocks? Green Light.
Unforgiven is unforgiven. All my evil deeds in the past haunt me to this very day, to this waking moment. I'll work on it.
You got there. Yeah. Put that one in the oven. So, yeah, I think it's intentional, right? He's like the perfect man for the job.
Yeah.
It's similar to the way...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Especially as like the retired gunslinger, right?
Yeah.
Like old Clint Eastwood fits it perfectly. Like I mean, almost especially because like he was young Clint Eastwood at a certain point in time. So yeah.
I think I'm also realizing that he looks like Christopher's dad.
Oh.
I think that is getting in the way for me. Yeah, he's got like that like skull thing, which it sounds like I should talk to my boyfriend.
What's with you and the phrenology today, man? Like, what's going on?
It's not like I'm like the width of his skull. Pass. It's just it's like
you're like, ooh, I don't know,
so sunken.
14.5 centimeters for the skull. Like that's gotta. I don't know, man.
I am, contrary to popular belief, I am not breaking out the calipers. But no, I don't know. Yeah, it's too severe.
Plane's looking at me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, classic thing for a stagecoach carrier head to say." I'm like, "All right, buddy, like, come on."
I feel like he. Yeah. Anyway. He's also quite old to be the dad of a 7-year-old.
Yeah. That's one of the most unbelievable parts of it, bro. Like.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that part is a little silly, but I do buy in by the end of the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, I see that this guy was a fucking monster. Like it's totally on. I'm on that wavelength. This movie does so much for the using the word mean to mean tough community. Like, I think there's something so strong in like calling someone a mean son of a bitch, but you don't call someone mean as like when you say someone's mean today, it's very like high school. I feel like you think of like Mean Girls.
Okay. I was gonna say like that's like a elementary school thing. Like oh, you're being mean. Like I feel like I never heard bullying, mean past a certain point. Yeah. Right,
but like back then, like it was like oh, you're like mean. You're like a drunk or like
you know what I mean. Son of a bitch. Yeah.
It's Archie, and you believe it. And obviously, the point of this movie is not to glorify violence, so they're not going to show you like what a lesser movie would do of like a flashback of him killing all these kids on a railroad or whatever the fuck. But it does like you're kind of like all right, we get it, like enough. Something that his latest movie people like nutted over, which was Juror Number 2. That was the movie that was basically like, what if 12 Angry Men, or what if like 12 Angry Men was about like a guy who actually had done it.
That's kind of interesting.
Right? Great premise.
Yeah.
Bad execution.
Yeah.
And so that movie is very like hammy to the point of like eye rolliness. Not hammy, but like overstated. Like, all right, we understand, we get it. It's okay.
You can move on.
Stop now.
Yeah.
And so this movie, I think, it goes maybe just past the point of being annoying, but it wins me back over, especially in the back half where things really start to get more intense, I think. Like when English Bob happens.
Yeah. I like the back half of the movie a lot more than the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know. So English Bob getting introduced was pretty cool, I guess. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that guy.
Yeah. He's like cool. His snivelly little book writer guy.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Fine as a character, I guess. I don't know. It's just.
I loved that character. That was peak. Okay, so entering the movie, I was like, oh, this fucking kid, the Schofield kid, get this guy off the screen. This kid's a fraud. Like, you know that he's talking himself up. He's annoying every time he talks, and he's like hustling them or like trying to like. He's like, come on, shoot. And you're like, fuck off. But really, the real, like, after that kid shoots the cowboy in the outhouse and he breaks down, and you're like, oh, this is like actually a 19-year-old. Can you still hear me? Because I'll keep talking.
I can still hear you, yes.
Okay. After that scene, it pivots in my head, and then we see the whatever Baumfield, whatever Baumgarten, whatever the fucking shitty writer is, Beauchamp. I was like, oh, this is the real get this guy off the screen of the movie. Like, this guy is so like naive.
This guy is so off my fucking screen. It's crazy.
The off my screen levels are off the charts.
True.
He is so like, just like or like wants to like be close to this violence because he thinks it's so cool. But he's like obviously old enough and experienced enough to he should know better. Yeah. Whereas this kid, it's like, okay, the kid's just like idolizing shit he's heard, you know. But like, yeah. So I thought that was a pretty masterful turn in like unlikability. And yeah, I found that character very interesting. You know, several times I was like guessing his motivations, which I thought was good. Like I was like, is he gonna shoot or try to shoot Gene Hackman? Is he gonna try and shoot? You know, which was I thought was interesting and kept me watching, even though I hated every word he said.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you that much for him. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like,
You're such a low down dirty dog for not liking this movie.
I didn't say I didn't like the movie.
Really,
I just don't like it as much as Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
That is so crazy. That is crazy.
And I think I'll tell you why. Or I think I know why, and I'll tell you.
He's gonna tell me why. Ricky knows.
I think I know. It's literally just because like there's more story in this one. Like, I know that sounds dumb, right? But Good, Bad, and the Ugly is literally just like, hey, there's these three guys. Look at their hijinks, and it's just like good hijinks. Like, I don't know, it's just like funny to me. And this movie was, I mean, maybe just because it's like less like lighthearted. It felt more serious. There's like, it felt more fleshed out for sure. And like, I don't know. I wasn't huge on that.
Like I've raised my nose in the air. Like I'm trying to emit a smug sense of superiority over you with every pore. You're so fucking stupid for thinking this.
Why? Boy, why?
The only thing that, you know what the only thing Good, the Bad, and the Ugly does better than this movie?
What?
That's it. That is it. If that was in this movie, yeah, I think Unforgiven's better. It looks better, I think. I mean, they're different. Like, I don't think we need to necessarily be putting two queens against each other, but for you to even come out and say that you liked one.
I enjoyed watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly much more than I enjoyed watching Unforgiven.
That's so crazy. That is so crazy. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly has 40 minutes of them talking about blowing up a bridge.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yeah, who cares?
While there's like war stuff going on, it's cool. I don't know. And then like we get to watch a bunch of guys charge down to their deaths, and like the guns are cool. The big Gatling guns, the cannons and stuff. It's cool. It's just cool.
My eyes glaze over. You know.
I like that sort of stuff, and like it made it feel like shit was, I don't know. Like I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like shit's happening in the background, but like our characters don't give a fuck about it. It's just sort of like. Yeah, tertiary, I guess. It's world building. The lore of the Civil War. Sorry, go on.
Civil War, you say? What if Clemens was in this movie?
2024?
With that big ass cowboy hat he wears in Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like literally so wide that it doesn't show up on screen.
Pretty good.
It like cuts off the edges. It's another good bit. Great hats in both of these movies that we watched. Like really just impeccable hat and costumes. But no, I don't know, man. That's crazy. I just I think this movie's way more interesting. Like thematically, just I like that there's more story, I guess. I also think it looks better. Like, obviously, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly has crazy shit in it. You're like, oh, this was the first time anyone did this. Like, having a, like a close up of somebody's eyes for 5 minutes. But I think some of the like nature photography in Unforgiven looks crazy. Like, it looks like the world is breathing. Like, it almost looks like an LSD trip. And they get so much out of the nature and them, being like silhouetted against the sunset, and it's a really beautiful kind of like almost like not a eulogy, but a swan song almost to this like idea of a macho cowboy type. Now Clint Eastwood went on to continue to make fucking movies like this, if not straight up westerns in the same way. So it kind of loses some of its luster in the context of his career, I think, but I think it works great as a capstone, if this had been the last Western he made.
Yeah. I don't know. I just...
No one says the word bow-legged in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. They say it here. It has that going for it.
Is that's
a
fucking
plus? Mean thing to say a person. Yeah, calling someone bow-legged? Yeah, it's absolutely a plus. Also, they say someone's full of beans. Morgan Freeman.
That's a plus. Huge plus.
Yeah,
put it on the pros list.
Wait. I actually, funny story. When I wrote this note down earlier today, I got Taco Bell before I watched this movie. Shout out
bunch
Taco
of bean
Bell.
burritos.
And no, so my usual Taco Bell order is a beefy 5-layer burrito, sub black beans, and then a cheesy gordita crunch sub.
You're full of beans.
But listen. So lately, because Ed is killing me, I've been doing like easy reduced fat sour cream, easy cheese, like some of that, just because I'm a numbers junkie, and I went to the drive-thru today and picked up my order, and I had ordered ahead, and they were like, they read me my order, and I was like, did they say no cheese on the beefy 5-layer and like no sour cream? And I was like, they must have read that wrong, because I put easy. It's been this. I haven't favored it in the app. I get free shit all the time for how often I order from Taco Bell. And I get
if you're gonna bleep anything, you should bleep that
munching.
Anyway.
That's so crazy. But so I get home and I start eating this 5-layer burrito, and I'm like, a lot of beans in this.
Is it just tortilla and bean at that point?
It was just no. Well, it should be beans, like black beans, refried beans, sour cream, cheese, and I'm forgetting the 5th layer. But anyway, so like there should be some other stuff in the mix, the sour cream and the cheese. Nothing. They didn't do. They just gave me straight up beans, which the beefy 5-layer is normally like this big of a burrito. I'm holding up. I don't know what that is. 5 Wiimotes worth of burrito. And so,
I'd say 4. I'd say 4 Wiimotes. Let's not get crazy here.
It's a pretty serious, size burrito. And so
4 Wiimotes with the Wiimote covering, the weird plastic covers that people.
Yeah, the Wii condom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to like a third of the way through, and I was like, oh, they just like did a shitty job wrapping this, right? Like there's gonna be sour creams all in the back half. No, it was just a full fucking thing of beans.
Dude,
I was like, this is
you're
my salt
literally
so
full
high.
of beans right now.
That's why when he said that, I was like, oh my god, I've been read.
Dude, your sheet's gonna have a hole tonight, bro.
My what?
Your sheet's gonna have a hole tonight. You ever hear that?
From what? What?
You never heard that before?
No, my sheet is gonna have a hole?
Yeah. From farting.
Like how...
You're gonna like fart a hole through your fucking like bed sheet.
I thought this was like that you have to have sex through a hole in the sheets. Isn't that like a tradition in like Catholicism or something?
Is it?
Am I making that up? I swear that's like an old wives' tale of like something they used to do back in the day. I could be totally trolling.
Could be a Mormon thing. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, like soaking. Is that real?
Yeah, that is real. Yeah.
I've never heard that. No. I actually, Taco Bell doesn't. People always make the joke of like, oh, you're gonna shit your pants. It doesn't do that to me because
I am just making the joke. I also eat enough fiber in my diet. It doesn't affect my stomach either. Congratulations, Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You don't have to congratulate me. I it's a normal feat.
You don't have to congratulate me. Actually, a proper microbiome within the gut is congratulations all by itself.
It's true. It's true. I think I'm gonna start eating yogurt again now that it's getting warm. I feel like
I love yogurt.
I've been doing the granola with oat milk, but I feel like I should upgrade to yogurt again.
I just eat Chobani every day.
I was doing the Chobani or Oikos. Oikos has the triples, like the
Oikos,
0 sugars.
Yeah, I don't like it. They're what is it? Whatever sweetener it is. I don't remember which one. It has a really weird flavor. I just don't like.
Well, try the protein one, the 0.
I think that's the one I did try. That's the one I did not like.
Oh, see that? I love the taste of that shit. That shit is like crack.
There's another one. It's another like weird 0 sugar one. I think it's the Chobani 0 sugar one. They actually did like a
those are okay.
With. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get those if I want, because they have like the 0 sugar and they're kind of like the desserty type flavors. Sometimes I'll do those if I want something sweet.
I'm thinking of the Chobani Complete. That's the one where it's got like a bunch of. They've got like extra amino acids or whatever. I don't know, but
sure.
Yeah, they taste pretty good. They're not bad.
Interesting. We should have a food podcast.
We should, yeah. I
feel like we have maybe been barking up the wrong tree for a year and a half.
Can I tell you that this is...
What if we did We Want to Eat as a Patreon?
That would be so crazy. Yeah. But no, going back to Greek yogurt. When I was growing up, my mom, she was like obsessed. I mean, she still is sort of obsessed with like microbiome and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I would eat acidophilus pills, and I can
those
identify.
Things will make you shit.
They will.
Oh.
But I can like specifically identify acidophilus. It's almost like a weird generic off-brand banana flavor. It's like the chalky part of banana almost is like that's how I like to describe it.
I know what you mean.
And like. Whenever I eat a Greek yogurt, like I look for that flavor, and like that's like I don't know.
Crazy.
It's nice. It's like reassuring them. It's like I like tasting the acidophilus.
You're like, oh, all my friends are here in my gut biome. Yeah.
I'm so cultured now. Look at all my acidophilus. Like,
not if you don't like Unforgiven, then you're not cultured.
True.
Sorry.
Again, I do like the movie, just not as much as Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Should we do We Want to Eat?
No, because it just make me hungry every time. I'm hungry now. Like,
well, no, we'd eat. We would eat when we do it, like not on mic, but like right before, and then we would like talk about what we ate, and then tangent about whatever the fuck, like we always do.
That wouldn't be half bad. I don't know.
And
we could talk about like movies in the intro and like interspersed throughout as we're talking about it.
We shout out each podcast. God, can you imagine if we had a second podcast? I would be on the news.
We'd pay someone on Fiverr to edit them instead of having you slave away.
I've thought about that. I don't trust someone else to do it. I couldn't. Yeah. Although at least we wouldn't have the risk of like me saying something depraved and then feeling the need to bleep
and then just being able to cut it whatever you want.
Talked about,
yeah.
Well, I'm just saying if we talked about if we were doing a food podcast, the likelihood of us being like, yeah, I would love to fuck Ronald McDonald is like
dude.
very different.
All the depravity, it's coming straight from me, all right? I'm like, God, this Martha Stewart recipe, phew, she needs a good Dickens. I don't know what to tell you, man. Jesus.
Oh my God. That is the most fucked up thing you've ever said on air. This is crazy.
She does have some banging recipes, though, let's be real. Her cookware is good,
Holy
too.
Shit. Why have we been recording for an hour and a half? We have barely even talked about Unforgiven yet.
Yeah, let's get into Unforgiven. Yep.
Morgan Freeman.
I'm unforgiven for saying that.
Back
anyway.
when we were. Morgan Freeman being like, back when we were young and full of beans is just peak cinema. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you can't,
okay, fair.
You can't beat that.
Fair.
He was talking to me specifically. Another thing, this movie. Let's talk about the performances in a minute, but before we do that, and I don't think the character has a name. So the fat guy, like the deputy, who is introduced by the most Ricky-like character phrase ever, which is, would you rather get shot on a hot day or a cold day? Get this guy on our podcast. I want to learn about him.
Get him off the screen onto our podcast fucking now.
Yeah. This guy's great. I was like, when he got shot at the end, I was like, oh, not the fat guy. He was fine. He wasn't bad.
I mean, he wasn't good. I call him the ugly, if anything, right? Like,
yeah.
He can be forgiven.
Yeah. Wait, who is Unforgiven in this movie?
What, isn't it Clint Eastwood? Is it not Clint Eastwood?
Is it?
I thought he's supposed to be Unforgiven. Is that not?
I don't think there's a right. I don't think there's one answer.
All right. I thought it was supposed to be him like trying to forgive himself. That's why he does the whole like I'm a changed man now, but he like can't forgive himself, so he's trying to like atone or something. But he still does what is like unobjectionable. Well, maybe not unobjectionable, but like he's still like kind of evil, right? Like
yeah, he's able to be evil, to tap into evil.
Yeah.
The myth making, so yeah, this movie, right, like way more revisionist commentary on cowboy myth, whatever, and like masculinity, you know, the kind of idea that like it takes a man to do this.
Man.
Do you have a good Clint? Do you have a good Clint impression?
Not really.
I feel like it's a tough one. He's also not doing this in this movie. He's like not. He always has an affected low register, but he's not. Okay. You know, that was pretty good actually. I'm gonna say something. Go ahead.
I was gonna say in some of his speaking parts, as like a higher voiced guy, you can like almost tell that like
he's forcing it down.
Like he is forcing it down. You can like pretty easily tell that. But like the parts where he's like not, where he has like really short lines, like he almost gets away with it. You're like, oh, is that just like his voice, right? But then like anytime he has to say like a sentence, like a full sentence or more, you're like, oh, okay, well like this is where his vocal register like is or should be. Yeah.
Okay, so the last kind of like full line in the movie before he like runs off or like leaves the saloon. When Little Bill is like, I don't deserve to die like this, and he's like, deserve's got nothing to do with it, and he says, see you in hell, or I'll see you in hell, and he says, yeah, he sounds like Keanu. Just in John Wick.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because like Keanu is also someone who kind of gets shit for his acting persona and like specifically his voice.
I mean, he's doing like the same thing as Clint Eastwood though, right?
That's what I was thinking. Like, is John Wick him? Because John Wick is also like a capstone performance type movie. Obviously it's become its own thing and whatever, but like you know, it is kind of commenting a little bit on Keanu's persona and like all of the movies, you know, the like action kind of like starness of him. And he is doing a voice in that movie, or in those movies. And I feel like he might be aping from Eastwood a little bit. Because there's the supercuts of him going, yeah, like,
Yes,
like they're all 4 movies or whatever. And so when Clint delivered the at the end, right before he shoots Little Bill, I was like, oh, okay, I think see.
Keanu embraces his like vocal register a little bit more closely though. Like he's not forcing it down as much.
He's not doing he's not like doing a different octave.
Yeah.
He's just like putting on a voice.
Yeah.
Like or like an accent almost. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the performances in this movie are great. I don't think there's a bad performance in this movie.
I'll give you that. Yeah, they're all kind of stellar. And especially I don't want to say it stands out a lot, but like with the there's so many characters who are like doing a lot, right? Like there's a lot more talking, a lot more. I don't know. There's just like a lot more shit going on, and it feels like everyone is like very into it.
Everyone's locked in, and this movie could be really crazy and campy like Tombstone, but because Clint Eastwood is like down here. Because that's like where he acts. He's very comfortable, like kind of down, underplaying everything.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of like brought down. So, the kid is like over the top, but not really, just kind of in comparison to all of these old timers who are like mellowed out, So it works.
I thought it was going to get a little bit campier as it went on. In the beginning, I thought that, right? Especially like when we get introduced to Bob, and then like when they get to the town and everything.
Very silly.
Yeah, like they're playing it like pretty silly, right? And like
the Duck of Death.
Yes, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, so like it might get a little bit campier, and then I think the scene like right after that where, Little Bill is talking to what's his face, the book guy.
In the jail.
Yes, yeah. Like after they beat the shit out of Bob, like. That's, like, when he's, like, talking to him, and, like, he's like, 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 oh, these guys, like, that's not really how it happened, like, he didn't shoot that dude. Like, I was like, oh, okay, so, like, they're not going, like, the super crazy campy route. Like, that started to, like, I don't know, I guess ground it a little bit more for me. And then they never really sort of returned to that, like, I guess more heightened level, or, like, campier bit.
There is one thing. When there's one scene that rises to a camp level, and it's when they have threatened. So when English Bob first comes to town and they leave the saloon or the gun store and start to walk out, or not the gun store. What am I saying?
Because there's no guns.
I'm literally confusing. I was gonna say it's the saloon when they walk out. I think.
Yeah.
And all their guns are pointed on them.
Yeah.
And Beauchamp pees and like piss comes like pouring out of his pant leg on the ground.
Yeah,
it's like
that's what I'm talking about.
Just, like flowing out of a tube.
That's what I was saying. Silly. Like I was like, oh, okay, like this is getting silly. Like that's where I was like, oh, okay,
this
like
super silly.
Like this is gonna start to get campy.
Peak.
And then after that, I like they
brought
it back down. Yeah, and I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Yeah.
Hackman does a great job of making this character who on the page is very evil and tyrannical, but could be played in such a way to become cartoonish and over the top, and he does not do that. Yeah. Like several times I'm like, I thought like, is he really all that bad? Like, is he any worse than any of these others? And obviously he is, but like he plays it so cool and icy, and he's menacing, but he doesn't seem to be like, he's not like reveling in the maliciousness, visibly.
Yeah.
So
like he could play this like the guy from Roger Rabbit, and like that
totally
that like would have made it camp, right? Like if he had done like the like crazy over the top, but like no, it's very. I mean, maybe understated is the word for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, like obviously, like he's cruel and like a kind of like. I want to say disgusting.
A mean son of a bitch.
He's a mean son of a bitch, yeah. He doesn't shy away from that, but like you said, like he's not like active. I mean, he does kind of revel in it a little bit, but he's not like
he does. But he's not like
cartoonish.
You don't see the
joy on his face, right? Yeah.
He's not twiddling his mustache,
right? Yeah,
while he does it, like, yeah.
And he's also like he's not like he doesn't have like the phenotype of like the bad, right? Like like you don't like see him on screen and you're like, oh, this is the most evil person in the world, right? So it's like it's easy to be like,
we have said phenotype too many times in this episode. We are going to get flagged for hateful content.
Well, maybe.
No, but he isn't styled like the literal like harbinger of death in this movie. You're right.
True.
He's
Yeah.
not, he's not wearing a poncho. He doesn't look evil. Hackman won Best Supporting Actor for this. So I think deserved. I think he's the best performance in the movie. If I had to, the way he turns into a coward at the very end, is like when he dies is great. Because who wouldn't, if Clint Eastwood's holding a shotgun in your face, from 2 feet away. Morgan Freeman though also does a great job playing. I mean, has he ever played a bad guy? I can't think of anything. Has Morgan Freeman ever played like an unsavory type? Ever?
I don't think so. So like the most recent movie I saw him in was that shitty like Matt Damon one or whatever, Oblivion, where he's like
he'll just show up in those movies, man.
Yeah, he literally did just show up. He was like quote unquote bad. He was the bad guy for a little bit, I guess. Before the very obvious twist that like he's not the bad guy came along. So yeah, no, I don't know.
I've seen him. I'm looking through his filmography. There is one movie where he plays the bad guy, but it's kind of a twist that he's the bad guy. I won't spoil it. It's not a great movie. It's not a movie I love, but anyway. But he's still playing kind of like a good bad guy. Like he's like a don't you agree with my motivations kind of bad guy.
Okay.
But here he plays, the scene where they're shooting at the first cowboy and he shoots the horse and then he can't bring himself to shoot the guy. And he plays it so, again, understated, and like the shock of how he can't do it. He like his body is betraying him almost is pretty compelling, because you're like, oh, does he just not have it in him? Like, did he make a mistake and he can't steady his hand, or is it that he can't take a life? It's and you realize it's the latter. But it's very compelling and sad to see like this, icon of movies, Morgan Freeman, this like wholesome, the voice of God, as they say, like type, kind of be shaken in that way is pretty watchable and compelling.
Yeah. I mean, maybe even more compelling than was it the other dude who couldn't kill, but he does kill.
The kid
like, freaks out. Yeah, the kid. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah.
I don't know. So that's maybe another part of this movie. It's just like there are so many characters and like a lot of character motivations behind it, but they're like less. It sounds dumb.
You're like, they're not clear cut.
Right. Yeah. It sounds dumb that I'm saying it out loud, but like they're not archetypes, right? Like they're not like just cool cowboys, right?
But they are. They are archetypes.
Yeah.
It's just that they're deconstructed. It's like, oh, these aren't real. These aren't. They're archetypes because they're fake.
Right.
The tough sheriff is really corrupt and shitty and just like an evil coward.
Yeah.
And the badass whatever like old gunslinger is like a broken man full of regrets. The kid, the like slick whatever outlaw kid is really just like a sad little kid. I think it's clever in that way. To kind of take down all of those.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Again, I did like the movie a lot.
You're so full of shit. You hate this movie and you want it dead.
Dude,
you actually
why
want to
do
buy all the
you
prints
say
of this
this about like any movie that I am not like immediately just
also
riding.
Milo?
You're like
a cat.
Oh, so you hate it, huh? Oh, so you hate women. Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
You do literally this movie where a valiant hero protects and avenges brutalization against oppressed women.
Marginalized women.
You hate it.
Women in marginalized communities. Yeah.
Yeah. The number of times they say humping is too much. They're like saying humping all the time. Oh, he says cunny is maybe what you were about to get to too, instead of cunt, which is terrible.
No, I wasn't.
It's so bad.
I wasn't gonna say that one, but there was one line, like a throwaway line in the beginning, where like.
Is it when they're talking about masturbating?
No, one of the other prostitutes was just like, oh fuck, like they ride us like horses, but we can't let them brand us like horses or something like that. And I was like, that is so like tone deaf and horrible to say to someone who like just like got like brutalized by someone. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, if somebody said
some
that
of the
to me,
writing is not great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good lines, but there's also a lot of bad lines.
Yeah.
When they start talking about when Morgan Freeman, when they're riding into town, and Freeman is like, do you ever visit any of these women? And Eastwood's like, no. And he's like, what? So you just use your hand? I was like, weird. What is happening? Like, why are we talking about this? Like,
it's like, bro, are you offering? Like, what's going on, man?
I thought you, yeah, honestly.
Are we going Power of the Dog? Like,
yeah. Hey, listen. If Eastwood pulled out a little scarf and started to sniff it, I'd be like, "This is a 5-star movie." Another line that stood out to me is, I don't remember exactly leading up to it, but it's basically when the two of them meet up with Schofield Kid. And they kind of like come to this tacit agreement that they're all going to work together. Mm-hmm. And the kid kind of is like arguing with them, whatever. And then he comes around and he's like, well, what's it come to 3 ways? Meaning like the reward, the $1,000. And it immediately cuts to like them riding off. And I'm like, yeah, because how would that play out? Well, $333.33 if you do it like split even, but then there's a penny left over. Like,
I guess we could flip for it, but there's only 2 sides, so we'd have to.
Yeah, maybe it's easier to just do $3.33 and not do the cents, and one person gets $3.34.
In the campy version of this movie, they go through all of that. There's a decent like 2-minute scene of them just going back and forth. Like, well, actually,
it would be a 5-star movie if they did that, and if they had Benedict Cumberbatch, calling people pilgrim or whatever the fuck from playing the banjo.
Yeah.
Actually, Power of the Dog is in conversation with this movie because Bronco Henry is a legend, and this movie is all about legends.
That's true, actually. Wait a second.
Bronco Henry is
and the way that they erased his queerness is the same way that like people have to erase some of their history. Wait a second. Oh my God, Lane. Do we have the biggest brain take about Unforgiven ever seen?
Literally, we are so smart. It's crazy.
Why do you people listen to us?
Watchers, if you're still here.
Good on you. Good for you guys.
I guess something else I appreciate about the craft of this movie is a lot of the kind of pivotal non-dialogue moments they're shot with restraint. Like when the lady on horseback, the one of the sex workers comes to deliver the reward, and she's telling them that actually Ned died.
Yeah.
And Money takes his first drink of whiskey. It's very like they show the second swig he takes is more of a close-up, but the first one is like while she's talking, he is not center of the frame. There's like 2 other, he and the kid are both shown. Mm-hmm. It's just very understated, and there's no like musical cue of like, because he took his first drink of alcohol or anything like that. Like, yeah, what if they did that though?
You hear like the hawk, be like, in the background.
God, oh yeah, we didn't talk about that at the end of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly when he's like, "You stupid son of a," like the Tarzan yell.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I appreciated this movie a lot more than I think I even thought I would. I thought I would be like you, naive and believing
stupid,
everything that
dumb
English
fucking
Bob tells
idiot.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I'd be like you and think that Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was the better movie, but I think I like Unforgiven more. I think it's better.
What did you think of the shootout at the end?
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought it was just perfect. It's a perfect execution on the theme of like, well, it's real. I mean, it's whoever has the cool head, but really, it's just kind of random. It's just like, are you lucky?
Yeah.
You know, did you luck out? Did you live? You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
that's all.
Understated by the book guy, sort of like pestering Clint Eastwood afterwards, and being like,
yeah, he's like, who did you shoot first?
Actually, I heard that you're supposed to shoot whoever's the best shot. So obviously you shot first, and then you shot yada yada, and like Clint Eastwood was just like, yeah, all right, well, I know who I shot last.
I just got lucky,
and like I could change that.
And it's you.
You know, if you want me to, and like. And he was like, all right, well, I'll see you later, guys. You know, he's fucking leaves.
Really great glasses acting that the watchers at home cannot see. Ricky pushing the glasses up the bridge of his nose. And yes, I did also grab my glasses and put them back on for the bit, too.
For reference, I pushed my glasses so far up that I swung my arm around to continue pulling them back.
Oh, God. The sheriff's name is Little Bill.
Yeah.
I know you yada-yada'd it there in your quote. Every time they said it, I thought of Little Bill the cartoon, the Bill Cosby cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to think of where I knew Little Bill from. I heard it, and I was like, that's not a rapper's name. I don't know. Little Bill, what the fuck?
Little Bill would be kind of great as a rapper name.
That'd be a crazy for a duck rapper.
What if a duck rapper?
Yeah, or platypus or something, right?
I kept thinking, what if one of these characters was named Caillou? What if that was like your... I don't know, Caillou and Little Bill kind of like go hand in hand in my brain.
You think they would have beef?
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know. What did you make of the epilogue?
Oh, the site that I watched it on cut out, and I did not see the last, 3 minutes.
What?
So
wait, you didn't see the title card that was like, and the mother-in-law came to visit, and it wasn't clear why she...
No. I watched...
Really?
No. I watched him shoot Lil Bill, and then I watched him, leave... I think it cut as he was leaving the bar or the saloon or whatever.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. Wait, so you didn't see him walking or riding through the town to leave, being like,
no.
And if you guys, Ricky, why didn't you say something? You could have found another stream. We could have taken the. You could probably find it on YouTube.
Maybe, I don't know. I was looking around. I couldn't find anything that because I mean it's all.
Bro, you have to do your due diligence here. Come on, the watchers are paying with their hard-earned time listening to us talk about.
I'll say it's not on YouTube. It's because it's on YouTube Movies, so they're they DMCA it.
You could find you could find the last 3 minutes of the movie. I bet the ending scene, I'm sure, is on YouTube.
Okay. Well, tell me about
it. It ends with an epilogue.
Okay, tell me about the epilogue.
So the title card in the beginning is it's not clear why she married, which Claudia isn't even named, which is funny. She doesn't get named until he talks about his wife, but in the the opening title card, it's and her mother couldn't understand why she married a no good son of a bitch mean guy like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And then the ending epilogue, or the epilogue at the end, the title card comes up. It's the same thing with the credits kind of rolling, and it's years later, her mother came to the final resting place to visit. He had long since moved to become successful selling dry goods in California, I think is what it said, with his kids. And then the last paragraph is and she still couldn't understand why Claudia married a no good son of a bitch like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
So it's very they don't understand things men have to go through. It's very Michael Mann in that way. I feel like Clint Eastwood and Michael Mann have very similar... They have different, ideas of what it takes to be a man in a lot of ways, but the myth-making around malehood or masculinity, I feel is very similar.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mostly because I don't have enough to disagree with it, I guess.
Well, you've seen Michael Mann. You've
seen Heat. Yeah.
You kind of get... I mean, you don't need to see a lot of Michael Mann movies. And Manhunter.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get the point you're making about Heat, because they're both focusing on the struggles of a man and like what it takes to be a man.
Yeah.
And it is definitely very different ideologies between the two for sure.
Yeah.
But like both of them like guns and loud noises and shootouts and stuff. So
it's true. Although this movie is a lot quieter.
Yeah. Oh
too.
yeah.
Like this movie's very quiet, you know.
Again, understated. Understated is like I think a really good way to sort of explain a lot of like what goes on.
If you were more mature and adult, you would like this movie more. This movie, I got so cozy on the couch watching it. I was like, this is great.
See, I was so cozy for Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Like, I don't know.
That's crazy. That movie had... How can you be cozy for that? The movie makes you sweat by watching it.
I hear... I'm under the covers. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm seeing the sun beating down. I'm like, God, I wish I was sunning on a rock right now, bro. See, I wish I was a lizard on a rock.
I was literally going to say that. Bro, I am cold-blooded pilled, lizard maxing.
Skin shed maxing.
Unforgiven, it's just like the beautiful nature photography and like the slow kind of like rollout of the action and everything. It's just, I was like, I could fall asleep to this not because it's boring, but because it's soothing. Mm-hmm. Like it's very like, oh, this is like a cable classic kind of movie, like just good, you know, competent filmmaking, like all, yeah. Which, again, Eastwood fell off in that way. Like, some of his movies are unwatchable because of how fast he makes them, but...
Really?
This one... Yeah, no, I mean... Have you ever seen American Sniper? That's a movie we'll watch one day when I'm drunk in Dallas. That movie's so bad. That movie is beyond the sea levels of bad. Like, that movie's... It's cringe how bad... Like, truly, like, you're like, oh, this is... Like, the master has lost his touch.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. Plus, it's also propaganda. It's, like, twofold, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it never
anyway.
Appealed to me because it was, like, super propaganda.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad. So, anyway. This movie's good, though. I liked it.
Yeah,
good Best Picture winner.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. It won 4.
It was good. It looked really good. Has a lot more going on.
You're just a fucking child.
I'm just a child, and like I don't know. I think I went into it expecting something much more akin to Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and like,
you just weren't on its level.
I wasn't.
You don't get it.
I literally
you just didn't understand.
It's
academic.
Thank you, Lane. I was not engaging with the art on its level. I went in expecting something else, and
so it's
I was
you
disappointed.
problem.
It was a me problem, 100%. Glad we got to the bottom of that.
God, I can't believe you sometimes. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about Unforgiven from 1992, directed by Clint Eastwood?
I do not.
Cool. Could we do, like, we want to watch in that cadence? Could you say, like, we want to watch in the... I don't know. Is there anything there? I'm vamping because I'm trying to look for a movie because I didn't pick a movie in advance.
Like a buena, we wanna... No.
Well, I'm thinking, like, the...
I can do wanna watch, we wanna...
That's not bad.
Wanna watch, we wanna... I don't know. Sounds weird.
Pretty good.
You can't even hear it. Discord's cutting it out. Ow.
I heard it. I heard that one. That one didn't get cut out. All right.
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay.
Next week, I want to watch Tokyo Story from 1953, directed by Yasujiro Ozu. This is a Tokyo Story is supposed to be like one of the best movies ever made. I've never seen it. Sounds like a sad kind of hang, but that's movies. So let's watch it.
Yeah, sweet. Looks awesome.
Cool. Should I like mix LMFAO with the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme? Should I like mash that up somehow?
No.
Should I just end with the song? Should we just like go classic? No shenanigans.
Yeah,
just like
I think
straight
so,
up.
yeah.
It's kind of a great song. I mean,
It's such a banger. Also, we opened with like our shitty rendition of it, so like we can end with the real one.
Let's put a bow on it. Yeah. Did you talk to Meredith about this episode, by the way? Did you? You should have gotten her opinions on.
I did not.
She's been hearing you go.
She also heard me doing it when we were going and getting groceries. She didn't say anything about it.
Did you really? Did you?
Yeah.
You were doing it?
Yeah, like all day today I've been just walking around going and just like nothing. I was like, alright, fine. Like
she is too nice to you. She should really.
She should really push you over on the playground and just beat the shit out of you.
She should really stuff a harmonica in your mouth and make you hold up your brother on your shoulders.
True, so true. Oh my god, Lane. I can't believe how true that is, bro.
Stop picking on me. You're so mean.
Alright.
Alright, I'm ending.
Alright, I'll also end.
God, 2 hours?